All right, Troy. Everyone, I guess we expected a lot. We've chatted all year. We talked about Seattle and San Francisco being the best teams. We've expected this. I think we've expected this for about 2 months, and now we got it.
Yeah, I don't think it's really a surprise to anybody. New Orleans, one time during the season for a big part of the year, a lot of people were counting on them as well. But these were two teams coming into the year that people liked. They liked them throughout the year, and here they are. And it's two teams that obviously know each other very well. We've talked about it, a great rivalry. This rivalry gets amped up to an entirely different level now. It's one thing to be playing each other when you're playing, to take the lead within the division and to ultimately win the division. It's an entirely different thing when you're playing in the NFC Championship game with a chance to go on and play in the Super Bowl.
The two best teams, and frankly, I'd say, Troy, I don't know how you feel, San Francisco's probably right now, as we reach this Sunday, probably playing better in every facet of the game than anybody else. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I do. I think that everyone always says, hey, we want to be playing our best football at the end of the year. I mean, clearly that's the goal. Whatever you have as a team, you want it to come out when you get into these games. And San Francisco's been able to do that. They've won now, 8 in a row in the postseason at Lambeau. That was a huge win for them and allowed them to advance. And I think along the way it gave them a great deal of confidence going into last week's game. And then you beat another good football team that was the number 2 seed. And, now here you are playing the divisional opponent that you know very well. So I think from that standpoint, they go into this game with confidence. And then I think it gets tempered a little bit when they realize that, the last 2 times we've been to Seattle, we haven't fared very well and we've got blown out. And so they'll be optimistically cautious going into this game.
And you know what? We know these teams don't like each other, and I think they've already been cautioned about a recurrence of what we saw last week. And good for you to make comments about it because, listen, we've all watched Anquan Boldin be a terrific player, but the nonsense, play after play, as you commented on and said you'd seen enough already. I mean, get the referee early in the game to say to these guys, let's play football. There's stuff after the whistle. Every single down, helmet to helmet, jawing at each other, banging heads. I mean, it got to be ridiculous in the Carolina game.
Well, it did, and what I think what's interesting about that, Mike, is a couple of years ago the league stepped in and said that, hey, we're gonna not allow taunting, and we're gonna make that a special point of emphasis for our officials to officiate it and try to remove it from the game. And if jawing back and forth isn't, there's a certain amount of that, I understand, and guys are competitive, and there's a lot at stake, and so those things occur. But, when it takes place the way that it did, certainly in the game that we had last weekend, I think the officials have to step in. And I've been asked this week if I see that as being an issue in this game, and I would normally say, yeah, I could see that because of these two teams and their history, but I don't anticipate that really taking on the levels that it did last week because Gene Steratore, the referee, he is refereeing this game.
And he's the best in the league.
I believe he is as well. Yeah. I think he's the best in the game right now.
I agree with you 100%.
And he has complete control of the game, and I don't think he'll allow it to get to the point it did last week.
Good. I'm glad. I didn't even know he was doing the game. I'm glad to hear it because you know what? I think he's far and away the best in the league, and he will control it. And it did get stupid last week, and it got costly because you saw times where penalties, extended drives, penalties, personal fouls, and listen, they outplayed Carolina, and they deserved the win. There's no question, but there was a lot of nonsense. Here's the key to this one right off the bat, Troy, the bread and butter question. Do you think either defense can stop the main man? Can Seattle stop Gore? Can they stop Marshawn Lynch? Because if one stops the other right there, I think that's a big way to win the game.
Yeah, it's a good question, and both of these defenses have been good against the run. San Francisco has